So when do you get to a place where now you're working with, I know that you met Dima, but like when do you start working with an artist?
So my first artist, okay, now I'm going back. So I had A-Rod. I picked up Camper early. I got Camper in 2011. My first artist was actually this kid named Scooter Smiff that was signed to Chris Brown. He was supposed to be Chris's protege.
Protege?
Yes.
Okay.
He was the first act signed to CBE. He had a record out called Head of My Class. This is like back in the day where 106 in Park is still a thing. It premiered on 106 in Park, all those things.
Oh, word.
Um, he was right on the cusp of being the thing. And then the incident happened in 2009 with Chris and Rihanna, and the whole operation got shut down.
Oh, wow.
And so he ended up like going back to school because there was just like this stain on Chris. They wanted to keep him because he's like 16 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
they just didn't want him to be affiliated and associated with the Chris thing.
Yeah.
So he was so loyal to Chris. He's like, well, if I'm not doing it with my big brother, then I'm just gonna go back to school. He loved football,
Really?
so he went back to
Oh, wow.
school and was playing football. But he's always been super talented. And after school, he's like, I want to get back into music. So I met him through. Do you know Coop the Truth? He's from Canada too.
Oh my God.
Cooper.
This sounds from
Cooper
from
McGill
Toronto?
from Toronto. He may not be from Toronto. I think he lived in Toronto for a bit of time. He's from a different part of Canada, but he's like this extremely talented white kid producer. He's older now, but when
This
I
is,
met him, he was like
name
17.
sounds so familiar to
Yeah,
me.
he's
Okay.
like a
It'll come to
prodigy.
me.
Yeah, he's a
Okay.
prodigy. He came up young, under 40 in them, and he was working with Scott Storch as a young kid.
Okay.
Yeah, but I met
He's working with 40 in them?
yeah, as a kid. Yeah, young.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
really, really young.
So you know what? Because there's a homie of mine. I feel like I know Cooper through Aaron A, who was a director
Okay.
out in Toronto. Did a bunch of stuff for Nelly Furtado.
Okay.
For a ton of people.
Yeah.
I think maybe through him, but his name
Yeah.
sounds super familiar.
Yeah, he's having real success right now too. He's super low key.
Okay.
Yeah, he's super low key. He collabs a lot with other producers and
Okay.
does like these packs that ends up on
Really
everybody's.
shit. All right.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So I met Scooter through him, and that was like my first artist experience. We did it completely. We dropped his mixtape on DatPiff, and we had features from Eric Bellinger. Eric was my roommate when I first moved to LA. Eric Bellinger.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like the story's kind of like all over the place.
No, that's
but
cool. This is
yeah, he
great.
was my roommate. I learned a lot from Eric as
Yeah.
well. He is actually him and Neiman and what they built independently. I watched it from the ground up. He's actually the first person that I ever saw create a vision board, Eric, and I watched his vision board literally come to life. He put Usher on his board. He put Bieber on his board. And like within 6 months, he had records with these guys, Chris Usher, Bieber.
Put your vision board up right after that, eh? Just-
I got into the vision
yeah,
boards,
yeah,
and
yeah.
mine have come to life too.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah.
I put the Grammys on there. And all of these things have happened. Manifestation is a real thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thoughts become things.
100%.
So it's, it sounds like, yeah, but I've watched it happen.
Yeah,
And
yeah. No,
I've
that's a
seen
real
it in
thing.
my own life.
Yeah.
So Scooter was my first artist. We put his project out on DatPiff, and we had features. Back then, Kevin McCall was the man. Kevin was on it. Mauricio was on it. Eric Bellinger, Hit Boy, had produced some songs on it because everybody knew him through Chris. He was
Okay.
supposed to be like
Yeah.
this kid prodigy. And it garnered a lot of attention. But then he just decided, he wanted to just live a regular life.
Okay.
I've been with Scooter and we still work together and we're still working on music together, but he has a son now. Like life has happened.
Yeah.
But that was like my first artist experience as a manager. And
Okay.
yeah, it was successful. I met Lucky. A lot of people know me because of the Lucky Daye thing. I actually met Lucky at Harmony Studio in 2010 as a songwriter.
Okay.
He came in to write for another artist, and I was in the control room and I was just listening to him cut the record. And I'm like, who is this guy? He comes out of the booth. He's like, you fucking with this? And I'm like, do you not want to be an artist? I'm like, what's your thing? Because you're a great songwriter, but you're gorgeous. You have this incredible voice. You have this incredible pen. Like, what's up with, you don't want to be in the forefront? And he's like telling me about what he had going on at the time. And I think a lot of times I've seen this happen over and over again, from the Eric Bellingers to the Victoria Monets to the Lucky Days. When you're a great songwriter, people try to box you into the songwriter thing. And it's like, you're not an artist. Like, people will tell you, like, you're not an artist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you're an artist.
Yeah.
And you need to lean into that.
And so he thought he was just a songwriter?
He had just settled into the songwriting thing, because he's like, nobody really believes in me. It's so funny. The other day I woke up with a bunch of new followers. I don't work with Lucky anymore. It's been 4 years. I'm actually glad I get the opportunity to let people know that. Just PSA. Don't ask me for tickets. Don't ask me. I don't manage Lucky Daye, and I have not since 2020. But the other day I woke up to like a bunch of new followers on Instagram, and I'm like, what's happening here? And I saw that he was doing like a Q&A on his story, and someone asked him, how did this happen? And he said, Natalie Prospere believed in me when nobody else did.
Oh, that's dope.
And that meant a lot to me, because sometimes I feel like I am written out of people's history, right. Especially when you don't work with them anymore. It's like, I know the purpose that I served in the beginning that kind of set this whole thing in motion, but sometimes, you're forgotten. So when he did that, I really did appreciate that, because I really did. I was like, do not listen to whoever's telling you you're not an artist. And the truth is, a lot of people felt that way about him. His publishers, he's like, nobody sees it for me. I'm like, I think that you could do the artist thing. So, he was living in Atlanta at the time. He had just come to LA to work on music as a songwriter. And I was like, you need to come to LA. I had Camper at the time. I'm working with Harmony. I'm like, you need to be in the mix over here with these guys. Yeah. Camper will tell you, I told him back then, you need to sign D Brown. His name was D Brown. Sorry, he's gonna hate me for that. But I'm like, he has something. And they were working on records. He wrote this one record for Mary J. Blige. It was on his first album, Painted, called I Love You Too Much. It's called Love You Too Much. It's a lot of people's favorite song on his first album, but he wrote the song for Mary. And I'm like, this is your record, bro. You need to just keep this record. Record's hard. So I told him that he needed to move to LA. A couple weeks later, he calls me and he's like, I've been thinking about what you said. I'm gonna come out there. He's like, I'm on my way out there. And I'm like, when are you coming? You're flying in? He's like, yeah, I'm driving in right now. Oh, wow. So he packed up his car and drove from Atlanta nonstop. Crazy. From Atlanta to LA. And he's like, I'm doing this. Like, so we worked together. I was managing him back then. His car got repossessed within a couple of months of him being in LA. You can't keep up with your car note. I don't know how they found him all the way in California, but they found him and repossessed his car. And again, this is 2010, before there's Uber. So when you have sessions all around town, it's like, how am I going to get there? Yeah. Around in LA. So for a while, I was like driving him to all his sessions. Okay. And then my car got repossessed. I actually have the video of it. I'm going to post it one day, because I was like, bro, I might have to go back home. It's not working out. We're going to need that footage for this podcast. Yeah, we'll find the footage. Put it up for this podcast. Cool. Yeah. My car gets repossessed, and I'm like, okay. What are the chances? I know, right after. Yeah. Exactly. So I brought in a co-manager who shall remain nameless, because he wanted to work with me on something. He really believed in Lucky. He had a car, and I'm like, if you can help me with this side of things, just moving him around, we can bust down the management or whatever. But I was the one setting up all the sessions and putting him in all the rooms. A few months later, they come and sit me down and say, Nat, it just feels like such and such is the one doing everything. So because I'm not physically present in these sessions anymore, it looks like I'm not doing anything. Right. And I'm like, how do you think you're getting in these rooms? I'm putting you in these rooms, but I have never been the manager that's going to try and hold anyone. The minute you decide you don't want to work with me anymore, I don't even do contracts. That's what made me want to come on this podcast. When your guest said that, I'm like, Chip.
Yeah.
I said, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Same.
I don't want anyone to be here if they don't want to be here. So, yeah.